You are on, you are working. Let's start. Hello, my loves, it's Abby. I thought I'd start today by doing a BookTube tag, a little newbie tag, just so we can get to know each other a bit better. I'd love to be in this community a little bit more. I've watched BookTube for years and it's so exciting and also a bit daunting to be a part of it, especially nowadays when there's just such an overload of social media and people to watch. But hopefully maybe we can find our people here and just have a nice little chit chat. So let's get started. Question number 1 is, why did you start this channel? And I started this channel because I just wanted somewhere to chat about books a bit more fully. I'd started doing a few videos on TikTok, but then I was like, this is literally a nightmare. I've edited and I'm trying to upload a 19-minute long yap about something, or a monthly wrap up, or just trying to, I don't know. I feel like short form stuff, like obviously there's YouTube Shorts, there's Instagram Reels, TikTok. It's too easy to just scroll on it. There are some people whose whole videos I watch and they could be a full like 10 minutes, but it's a lot harder to have the concentration for it. And I just thought, why not do it on a platform that makes more sense for it? And BookTube is my original love. So I would love to stay in this little area of it. Question 2 is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? And honestly, I am just like every other girl. This is just a little place where we can chat. I'm just going to tell you what's going on, what I'm reading, hopefully start some vlogs, because that's what I love watching the most. I am just here to give us more of what we all want, hopefully. But I guess if we're going to go with a unique thing, I work within TV and film freelance. So there are periods where, like right now, I don't have any work on. So I can spend a whole day at home reading if I want to. But when I am working, that's when the challenge of, can I keep up with my reading, is going to be, because sometimes you're working like 16-hour days. And I think this will hold me accountable. And it's just a nice, fun, creative thing to do. I really love editing videos, really randomly. My boyfriend makes me edit his stuff as well, even though he has worked as an editor before. So I'm the editor of this house, even though I'm just a makeup artist. So then question 3 is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm just excited to have somewhere to plonk down all my thoughts. I'm excited to hopefully, find my people and more channels that I really enjoy watching. Please let me know if you upload videos as well. I really want to find some new people to watch. Hello. Hi. Come here. You my little chirpy girl. Why are you not saying anything now? You're so loud and noisy. Until the microphone's here. Go on then. Where are you going to go? Back up there? Alrighty then. But yeah, mostly I'm just excited to have a place to chit chat and talk more in depth and just put my creativity into something. Question 4 is, why do you love reading? I just love the feelings that you can get from something that is imaginary. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even visually watching something. You're creating this whole world in your head from words on some paper or listening to someone read it to you. And I just love the stories that you can consume with it. I also love that it's not screen related, which I think nowadays is obviously quite a big thing. Like, since even just this month so far, I have spent so much less time on my phone. I've not been just like doom scrolling as much. I'm really like focusing my energy into a hobby that I enjoy. And I just think it's so fun to get consumed by a story and some characters. And I think you can gain a lot and change your perspectives and educate yourself through reading as well. I wonder if you could hear that dog barking from outside. That was so loud. Honey's head like whipped around. So then question 5 is, what book or series got you into reading? Now, I've kind of always been a reader. I've always been around books and reading. My mum loves to read. My dad quite likes crime thriller books. Mostly he only reads on holiday though. He's one of those readers. And my sister, who is only just over a year older than me, was such a big reader growing up. So a lot of the times we would kind of read the same things. I used to love those magic fairy books. You know, it started off with the rainbow fairies and then there was all different ones. And there was this one about this horse that turned into a unicorn or something like that. And I remember loving those books. I wonder if I still got those somewhere. Maybe my mum still has them. So I've kind of always dipped in and out throughout the years. About 10 years ago, I was part of a book club in Manchester at the Waterstones, the big Deansgate one. And I made quite a few friends through that. Some of my friends that I already knew, we started going together. And that really propelled some reading and some big opinions at the time. I saw half the time we'd just like trash talk a load of books, but that was so fun. It was so nice being in a community of reading. So it's kind of hard to say what particular book or series really got me into it. Obviously, I'm from the age bracket where Harry Potter was massive growing up. I think it was only for the last book. Yeah, only the final book we went to the midnight release of it at our local Waterstones. Because all the other times before that, we were either just a little bit too young, or there was one year where everyone was ill with chicken pox or whatever, you know, like all of those crazy things. So let's actually go on to my Goodreads and look at what I was reading like 10 years ago. Oh my God, 2015 as well, over 10 years ago. That's crazy now. Oh my God, a lot of John Green. I was also reading some comics and more like graphic novels at the time. Loads of YA, first started reading Brandon Sanderson. So loads of fantasy, YA sort of stuff. God, look at me even reading Ali Smith thinking I was cool back then. That's so funny. I guess because my mum and my sister have always been into kind of like fantasy stuff and sci-fi, it was quite easy to dip into all of that sort of world, especially obviously following Harry Potter. But I guess more recently, this is quite a long answer, but I read 50 books in 2015 and then it kind of went down a little bit from there. And then starting work is when I probably dropped off the most. But my worst reading years were 2022 and 2023. And those years I read less than 10 books. 22 I read 4 and 23 I read 6. But apart from that, I've been quite consistent with reading a lot. But I would say last year is when I really properly dived back into reading. Let's look at it from what I read kind of first in the year. Because I read a few in January and then it dipped off a bit. But I think it was just kind of really trying to dedicate my time to it. I did a reread of one of my favourite books, The Night Circus. I say one of, it's probably like my all-time favourite book. And I feel like it wasn't necessarily a particular book or series that got me back into it or got me into reading in general. I feel like I really started finding what I enjoy again in books and what stories I like to consume. That was a very long-winded way of saying I can't give you a particular answer. Although I will say my newfound love for romantasy is because of Fourth Wing. So we can all thank Fourth Wing for me being here. Question 6 is an interesting one. It's, what would you ask your favourite booktubers? And I think I would want to know how you stay consistent, one, with making the content, thinking of content, like what do you upload? How do you know kind of like when to upload? How many, you know, how often and all of that. But how do you keep going even throughout the periods where maybe you're not reading as much or your life is so busy? I guess that's kind of things that you would want to ask anyone, whether it's like in the field that you work in. It's like, how do you have that work-life balance, like hobby-life balance? Because I feel quite worried that when not like worried, anxious, oh my God, what am I going to do? As if this isn't just a hobby. But it's like, how do you manage that while also working? Because I know a lot of people are very lucky that they get to call making content and doing this sort of stuff their work and their full-time job. But it'd be really interesting to know how with something like this you keep carrying on. And then also just what's your favourite book? You know what I mean? I love chatting about favourite books and why you love them, and I think it's so interesting when someone has quite a different reading taste to you. So I definitely want to know something like that. Hello? I don't think you like the camera being on, do you? Oh, let's close this so you don't break open the drawer. Question 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? And I think it's just going to be getting in the routine of making content. I would have preferred to have already uploaded another video, but I just haven't made the time to do it. I wasn't entirely sure what to talk about. And then I just thought, you know what, let's just do a bit of an intro video. You can get to know me a bit and we'll just chat through some of these questions. Ernie's just headbutting this stack of books. Oh well, whatever. She's just a book lover. What can I say? She's obsessed. Literally, what was I even looking at? Oh yeah, I don't necessarily find the sitting and chatting difficult. I think doing it out and about in the wild is something that just feels like a bit of an awkward thing that eventually you could overcome. But I guess that's my answer for that. Oh my god, she's literally... What are you doing? She's probably going to cast shadows on me because she's now sitting in front of a light that I've put on, well, that Jay put on for me. Okay, question 8, which I guess I already kind of answered, is when did you start reading? And I couldn't tell you because I loved to read as a child as well. I probably had a big gap somewhere where I didn't really read so much, but since I've been tracking it, so I guess you could probably say maybe like 2014, 2013 sort of time, but I've just always been enough of a reader to say that I am a reader, if that makes sense. By the way, obviously, if I'm looking down loads, it's because I've got the questions here in front of me. Question 9 is, where do you read? Now, I do most of my reading sat in bed. It will be Jay on one side on his laptop doing whatever, probably playing chess. And I like now to dedicate my time to reading. So a lot of the time I'll just be sat there reading. I love when Jay goes to chess club on an evening, because then Jay's my partner, by the way, because then I just get to sit and try and read for, 2-3 hours. Oh my god, she's been such a menace. What are you doing? You know when your cat just starts acting up and doing things that she wouldn't normally do out of nowhere because you're busy? Love that. So yeah, most of my reading I do sat in bed. We don't really have a very comfortable living room situation where we are at the moment. We are hoping to move this year, but otherwise I listen to audiobooks a lot in my car. I also like listening to audiobooks when I'm doing chores, when I'm cooking. Literally, if I start hanging my washing out and I don't have my audiobook on, I was going to be like, I'll have a meltdown. I won't have a meltdown, but I much prefer doing it, and I feel like I focus better if I've got an audiobook or even some music on. But this is about reading, not about the music. And then question 10, which there's an 11th one, which is like, oh, sometimes people do this, so we will do that. Question 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? Now, I feel like I enjoy quite a range of books. Obviously, I would say fantasy is a big love of mine. Now, romantasy, and I love that is more of a bigger genre, regardless of whether it's like spicy or not. I just think it's nice to have a romance within that sort of world. I've always quite enjoyed a lot of literary fiction, but then it kind of depends, what way you go with that. I like weird historical fiction, historical fiction that's just got like something weird going on about it. Let's say like The Miniaturist with the weird dollhouse thing. There was also this one called The Butcher's Hook, which I really enjoyed, and that I would also say kind of like weird girl historical fiction in a way. Weird girl fiction I feel like I really need to get into because I know that I would enjoy it. I guess what I don't really read is like crime thriller stuff. I've read 1 or 2 thrillers in my time and just not really been too fussed about it. And then obviously with fantasy, you've got sci-fi as well. I just love a range of things and a range of characters, and I'm quite open. If someone recommended me something that was outside of my genre, like my usual reading genres, I'd be like, you know what, let's give this a go. I think the one thing that I don't really care for massively is biographies, and a lot of nonfiction I find just quite hard to get through because I love reading for the stories. Obviously, I do think it's important to have a range of stuff that you read and educate yourself on topics. But with nonfiction, I actually find it easier to listen to because I just think it's easier to take in the information. But otherwise, like last year, I literally only read one nonfiction book, and I don't necessarily plan to read loads this year, but I want to get to a couple. There's one, it literally is here on my shelf, Invisible Women, that we were meant to read as part of my friend book club, and only one of us has read it. Actually, maybe I'm the only one that hasn't read it. But there's stuff like that where I would love to get to and read more about those topics, but I just find it difficult to concentrate on them sometimes and actually take in the information. But yeah, just loads of fiction, loads of fantasy. Just give me fun, interesting stories. That's all I want. Question 11, which we're going to make the last question, is what does your book collection look like? And I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about my book storage. So the shelf that you see behind me is actually entirely TBR, apart from some of these little black penguin classics, and I forget what, oh, they're the modern classics, the cute little bluey ones. But literally every single book behind me I have not read yet, and there's more to the side, but a lot of my read books, there are loads in a stack in the other room that are ones that I've read within the past year or two. And then I have books in bags for life downstairs from when I had to move out from living with my ex. So my books are kind of scattered around everywhere. It's always been a bit of a temporary situation that has ended up sticking around a little bit too long. But hopefully this year we're planning on trying to move, and I can then have a bit more of a dedicated space for all of my books. Obviously everyone's dream is to just have like the big Billy bookcases, and I would just love to actually have my books out and displayed and be able to go through what I own and what I want to keep hold of, because a lot of these ones back here are from charity shops. I love charity book shopping, and even in, oh my god, you know, in some supermarkets, I think Tesco's is like the biggest one that does it. They have the little bookshelves, a little donation bit, and I've picked up so many books from Tesco's. It's actually kind of wild. But yeah, so what you see here is what I need to get to. So if you ever spot anything on the shelves and you're like, you should definitely read that, please let me know. But yeah, my book collection is very scattered. I don't really mind about there being paperbacks, hardbacks. I draw the line at a series being mismatched. I like a matching series. RIP to little me that read The Mortal Instruments as it was originally coming out. And I own the first two OG covers before they changed it to, you know, the bodies on the cover. And then my fourth book was like a giant paperback, not a regular size paperback, and that pains me, but at the same time I do kind of think it's quite funny. So yeah, hopefully that answers all the questions okay. Hopefully that's given you a bit more information about me, what my reading tastes are like, whether we cross over at all, if you want to stay and hang out with me in this, I was going to say weird little part of the internet. The internet's just weird anyway, isn't it? Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. You want to come say bye, honey? Ooh, knocking everything over. She's here. She's off. Right, let's end this.